All right, so
Can I ask you a few questions?
I guess the most basic question is, what happened?
Well, yesterday we conducted a logic and accuracy test. That's a test that we conducted by statute before every election, whether it's a major election or a minor election. During that logic and accuracy test, representatives from the school district,
Supervisor Miller, let's go.
as well as the municipalities have their clergy representatives here, as well as political party representatives. They all witnessed the logic and accuracy test being performed. What that test is a pre-audited group of ballots run through the machine to make sure the counts come out the way that they're supposed to. That occurred yesterday. Everybody signed off saying, yep, we're good to go. After the individuals who were observing the process left the facility, a member of my staff went to the rack system that contains the servers that has part of the tabulation system on it in order to zero out the machines. In other words, the test results failed in the machine at that particular point in time. We need to make sure those aren't included erroneously when we're actually starting to count ballots. We went in to zero that report out. That was a break of protocol. It certainly wasn't illegal. However, I contacted the representatives of the political parties who were earlier at the logic and accuracy test, as well as all those other dignitaries, let them know what happened. And this morning, before we did anything else, we would run that test again, and if successful, we would be getting out of here.
And the test did work
The
out.
test came out just perfect.
So what was the right way to do what you did?
One of two ways, basically, that is yesterday, as we were closing up and all the representatives were still here, to zero out the machine right then and there. Then put the seal on. Or keep the seal on yesterday and then come in this morning and representatives take it off then and then correct the machine.
All right, now, they're raising suspicions. Do you understand why they're raising suspicions?
Well, certainly, everybody, regardless of chether you're a candidate or not, whether you're even registered to vote or not, wants elections to be fair, accurate, and transparent. I think we've done that by coming out with openly that there was an error made, that it doesn't impact the election from our point of view, and I think believe also from the accuracy certification board members' point of view, or else they would raise concerns. So I appreciate people's questions. Questions are good things to ask, however, I think the election is sound, and it's not going to be just my work. We're going to run additional tests, and when I say we, not just the county, but all parties will run tests after this election is concluded, to make sure that the machines have been working correctly on the instrument. And we're going to do a hand count audit of some randomly selected precincts, some randomly selected contests. So I think we got a sound process.
Will there be any penalties against this work?
Certainly the individual has had one of those educational moments, but the individual has been told what the proper procedure should be, and he's as sorry as anybody else. I think it's going to be just fine.
Now, the frame capture that you see, he appears to be alone in the room, is he?
I wasn't in the room at the present time. However, there was another individual of my staff who's a certified chief election officer who knows the system. It was necessary for him to be in the room at the same time. Whether he was there watching over the shoulder of the individual in the frame, or as the seal was taken off, I could not say.
Because there is a good bit of space around this worker where you don't see anybody else.
That's correct.
So basically, you counseled this guy, you're reinforcing your procedures.
And not just to that individual, but to every individual who works in the room.
And this is a room that is under basically round-the-clock video surveillance.
Sure. And by that, not just streaming live, but we archive it. So if there was ever any question about what happened at 2 a.m. in the morning in this room, that is archived and we can look it up. Also, to get into the room, you actually have to have a magnetic card pass, and it logs who's in and who's out as they enter the room.
You guys can do anything you want to add.
The only other thing I would want to add has really nothing to do with this particular subject.
Well, can't promise anything.
That's fine, and that is, if you've still got your early ballot in your possession, mail it no later than tomorrow. If you still have it in your possession after tomorrow, bring it to the polls.
We just need to hold still for a minute or two. Okay. How can I get that particular passage of video?
Let me see if I can find it.
Okay, because all I have right now is that frame count.
It's just,
All right, so if you look towards me, that's good. Okay. All right, so, all right, so what did you see that raised your concern?
Well, what raises my concern is that, first off, as you know, yesterday at 3:03, I was at my home, and after the logic and accuracy, I caught them, a gentleman breaking into the central tabulator, which is that machine right there in the very corner. That machine is not supposed to be accessed without the party observers being there because that's the protocol. And what I feel that they probably were doing is that they were tampering with the database. Because after the logic and accuracy, what is the logic and accuracy? It's basically a way of running a test ballot through the system, verifying that the system is working properly at this moment.
What changes do you think they would be making to the database and why?
They can dial a formula into the database and say percentage we want elections to read this way, 51-49, 56-44, and if anything, they're playing around in a place where there's impunity, and the impunity lies in the vote by mail. Because when they do the hand count audits on the vote by mail,
We gotta start over.
So we were talking, well, let's just continue with that question. What do you think was happening and why?
I think that they were playing with the database and they were adjusting the percentages by putting formulas possibly in. The database was locked down after the logic and accuracy test. Him going in violated the chain of custody. And I can only speculate what they were doing, because why would you do it in secret? Why not go ahead? They're claiming, oh gee, we forgot to push the 0 button and wipe out the old data and getting it ready. Well, they could have done that this morning. You delete and then print 2 reports verifying that there are no votes in the system before you count.
Now, are you saying somebody was trying to fix the election?
Yeah, yeah. What else would they be doing in there? Do you really believe they went in there and pushed a button to wipe it out?
And this would be at whose behest?
The man who runs this department, Chuck Huckleberry, okay? I can show you documents factually going back to 1998 that they have been illegally printing the results from this early vote count, because that way you know how to game the system.
Now, you've heard what they've said about what they've done since you raised this concern.
Yeah, they did a new logic and accuracy test, which is good.
Are you satisfied with that?
No,
Why not?
no, because that wire is still connected, it's that yellow wire. These machines are designed to stand alone. They do not count, they accumulate the data. Through that orange wire, these 4 machines will be fed into the central tabulator today, rather than having it done Tuesday. And that way, somebody can generate a report saying, this is how many votes are counted, and here is the results. My question to you, would you like to have all the football scores a week ahead of time before Sunday, and you know what teams to bet on?
Now, do you know that's happening, or you think it's happening?
I can tell you historically, that's what's happened. Now, from 1998 until 2007, the last one I caught was in 2006, and that way they stopped printing those reports, where you can take it from the database. In that election, it was Senator Kyle and Peterson. They spent $29 million, and they knew 10 days ahead of time who was going to win or lose that election. They had 30,000 votes counted. That's a hyper poll. Those are the actual polling numbers because of the actual votes.
If you think this is happening, what can you do about it?
Hopefully, it's what really media and people being aware and the vigilance that we were taught in this country. Vigilance is important. As the old saying by Benjamin Franklin, there's 2 wolves deciding what they're going to have for lunch. A good vigilance is the sheep, know how to defend themselves from those 2 wolves. And we have to have elections that are verifiable, because without it, we don't have a voice anymore.
Now, I've seen the still frame of that picture, and I understand that was a crop, so there was somebody in the room just not near where the man was working on the machine, is that correct?
Oh yeah, there was another guy there, and then Brad Nelson came in about 15 minutes later. I'm going to go ahead and order all the tape on that. I bought a 2 terabyte drive to grab all the video. Plus, I'm also filing a records request for all of the ballot images. Those ballot images have a barcode on them and a precinct number, and that way I can feed them into my computer and I can sort them, and then we can go ahead and verify another way, because elections must be verifiable.
Will you be able to get that before the election, or?
No, it may be a year. They'll probably have to fight them in a lawsuit, just like it did on the RTA, and we got all their databases. And those databases, I got something like 400, and it taught me how the old system worked and how they were cheating. That's why we tried to go to court for 8 years. We were never allowed to put on the evidence of how they were manipulating elections.
Thank you. Anything you want to add?
No, I think you've done very well, thank you.
Please say and spell your name. We always put it on record.
John Brakey, and Brakey spelled B-R-A-K-E-Y.
Thanks very much. That keeps
Hey,
us from
thank you.
mispronouncing
understand,
ways.
sure.
It's just like, knowing them, they're gonna want to either show it today, or at least
Yeah.
most of them.
Yeah, I just hope any fears of the thing not being done right doesn't turn people off. And they'll say, well, if the system's no good, then why should I vote? And there are people who feel it's all crooked anyway, so why should I vote? And I just don't want to discourage people from voting.
Actually, can we say that on camera?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Then just look at me again. We'll do that one more time. Okay. You were telling me, what are you voting?
I think people can have a great deal of confidence that the ballots are being counted correctly, they're all being counted, they'll be counted until the last ballot is done after the election, and they're being counted accurately, and there is no reason for people to decide not to vote because they think it's crooked. It isn't. And I hope people will get out and vote on both parties.
Great. Thank you for doing that.
Sure.
All right. I'm gonna find out when the log was done.
Yeah, I'd like to see that too, thank you.
Is the log available for anybody or
I'll
something?
go ask.
Okay. Oh, could you ask Brad to come out for his interview, please, when you're in?
I think he said that the log was locked inside the machine.
Yeah, well, I would
in the
imagine that's
box.
where you would have to put it.
Maybe, I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know why you'd lock it in there, but,
Well, that's, where else would you put it? That's
well,
that's
it's a
the
log, and
secure.
it's looked like this is what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
And what they do
And
is
it's a
when
log
they
for
take the
that
seal,
machine, right?
they take the seal off, they'll take it and they put
Put
that
it
seal
in
in the
there.
book, see?
Mhm.
And that way, the public could ask to inspect it.
Yeah.
And if it's in there, it's probably an accident. It doesn't need to be there, I'm not saying
I'm
either
just wondering,
way.
because once it's a lock,
But I don't
I
wanna
would
give
want
the
it locked.
impression
Wouldn't you
that
want it locked up? I would
Well,
want it
this
locked
room
up.
is locked up, and the only way you get in the room is a card, and if you have the card,
So you could just
it
leave it
will
on a
record.
table? So you could just leave it on a table?
Well, they leave the table over there because, the status, or somebody wants to see it. Now we have to break the seal, put a new one afterwards where you can see it or I can see it.
Right, but it
It's a
wouldn't be
public
violent,
record.
but as long as the two observers are here,
Yeah.
they can break the seal.
It's the seal is important.
Right,
and
but
that-
the observers have to
Yeah.
be here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why, and if they went in there and the guy worked here for 10 years, knows the protocol is that, I'm sorry, I can't go in there because I have to call the Republican and the Democrat. When I got here at 3:03, after I found it out, I was here by 4, and I said, Mr. Nelson, can I talk to you, please? And then I said, can I show you something? This happened at 3:03.
In the morning?
No, in the afternoon.
Oh, yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, and I says, this is your guy opening up the machine, and I have video of him sealing it, and putting the seal on it and all
You
of
still
that.
have that video?
No, but I have the picture. The video is, they have it,
Oh.
and I'm gonna go ahead and order that when I try to get the ballot images.
Do you have the picture, though?
Yeah, I do.
Can you
I-
email it to me?
Yeah, I certainly can.
Please?
Can you give me a card?
Yeah, actually, hey,
I'm all yours.
you're too happy, shush. Okay, where do you want, Brad? So I want to ask you, it's come up to me that the log, so do they have to do that as they do it? Can they do it after, and where did the log go?
There's several different kinds of logs, so I think, let me do an assumption of what you're talking
Like,
about.
breaking,
Yeah,
open
so
the
there's a,
thing?
there's a clipboard, where basically you write down, so in whether when you apply a seal,
Mhm.
you write down what seal number is being applied, and who's present, what time of day, what time, and the date and things of that nature. And then that actually gets put on the device.
Oh, on that
Okay.
front thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
and so then when you get ready to take it off, you peel it off and stick it right there on that form saying, okay, I took this seal off on such and such a date, and here's the reason why, and who was with me when I took it off. That now is locked up inside of that cabinet at the present time, because that's where we need to take it in and out of as we do those kinds of
Okay,
transactions.
and that's where it's kept normally?
Yep.
Okay.
I didn't know that. So- I thought you always kept it on the outside, but the machine was always open when it started before.
I will stick it right there.
Okay, so which side do you want me, I guess it doesn't matter. What's
You're
going
fine
on?
right there.
Okay.
Actually-
My phone is off.
What?
Actually, let's move to the lady side, Laura.
Okay.
It looks better.
I'm gonna turn my phone off too, because they keep calling me from work, and I'm like, not having it, leave me alone. Well, this is my third story today. It was like, oh, call about this, oh, no, we want you to do this, oh, no, you're going over here. It's like, okay, let me call everybody and tell them I'm not doing that.
When you're ready.
Okay, Brad, just for tape purposes, please say and spell your name.
My name is Brad Nelson, B-R-A-D-N-E-L-S-O-N. I'm the Elections Director for KGun.
Okay, so Brad, what happened?
Well, for every election, we have to run a logic and accuracy test. That was done yesterday in the presence of municipal clerks, school district officials, as well as political party officials. That test was run successfully, and that test basically tests both the hardware and software that's going to be used in the coming November 3rd election. After that test was concluded, those individuals left the room, and a member of my staff went into the device in order to zero out those test ballots, to have a clean plate, so to speak, once we start counting ballots. That should have been done during the presence of some of those other officials, but that was not. That was a break in our usual protocol, but not illegal. That individual has been informed on what the proper procedure was, and that individual was actually with another individual at the same time, so he wasn't in there by himself. And all members who work in this room have been told and reinforced on what the protocol was. Now, with that break in our regular protocol, it was necessary to run that test that we had run yesterday over again to make sure nothing had changed whatsoever. So again, we're just talking about test ballots because we haven't even begun to touch real ballots for this election at that particular point in time. That test was done again this morning prior to the counting of early ballots, and that test was witnessed by representatives of the political parties.
Okay. Now, you were telling me, there's some suspicion of why is these two people breaking into a piece of machinery, but you were telling me that they actually logged all their actions. I mean, would you have caught that?
I don't know that for a fact, and it's a possibility that I might not have. The information was brought to me by a citizen that as they were viewing the video, it appeared that something was going on in the room. They contacted me, and I investigated and found out what had occurred.
But was there a law, I mean, were these people, what was the intent, and did they log it? Did they tell people they did it? I mean, what was the intent of them doing this, and did they cover their tracks? I mean, what went on?
There was no covering of tracks, meaning trying to hide what they had done. There's a log that they write down the seal number that they're removing from the machine, who's witnessing that particular seal removal, what time of day, things of that nature. And then once they conclude their operation that they're doing inside the device, in this case it was clearing out the machine of test materials, then they reattach a seal to the device and again log that information as well. So it's not hiding their tracks, it's definitely being just as transparent as they could possibly be.
Except that there was a mistake.
There was a mistake in protocol, but it didn't impact the counting of ballots because it had not occurred yet at that time.
Okay. All right. Tell me about the system. It's a new system, and was that part of the issue? I mean, I know you talked to them, and it's probably a personnel issue, but like, what happened?
Well, certainly we have a brand new system. It's not new elsewhere in the United States, but it's a brand new installation here in Pima County. And just like you're getting used to how systems works and how things operate, there's a learning curve involved. Now, the seal situation that we spoke of earlier, that was a situation that existed in previous environments. We've had some individuals who used to be the supervisor in this area, has since left county employment. So I think it was a little bit of communication that perhaps he used to be most responsible in supervising this area, and perhaps something fell through the holes at this time.
So what would you like the community, especially the voters, to know after, this kind of untoward thing happened, but, what would you like people to know?
What I'd like people to know is that everything that we have done has been observed by political party representatives. The breaking of the seal was quickly reported to all interested parties once it was found out. A remedy was suggested, and that remedy was taken. So again, the tabulation program, hardware, software is sound, has been proven to be sound, not just by the county officials, but by Democratic Party and Republican Party officials as well. And we are going to run the additional test at the end of the election to make sure everything has happened in between. Additionally, we do a hand count audit of randomly selected contests and precincts to make sure that indeed the machines work correctly. And that's going to happen the Saturday after the election. So there are checks and balances throughout the process. So if we do happen to have an anomaly in one of those checks and balances, we have some coverage to make sure that it's a complete chain going through.
Okay, and how is the new system working?
This is the first time we're using it. One of the things we like about it is that it's much quicker. Individuals who are used to past elections will often recall that early ballots, even after election day has come and gone, we're still churning those out. These new systems operate at a much quicker speed, so in theory, we're going to be done and release those unofficial results much quicker than we have in the past.
Can you release results before election day?
No, that is against the law. What the law says is that when a jurisdiction counts an election that has polling places as well as early voting through the mail, you cannot begin to release unofficial results until after 8 p.m. on election day. Now then, if a jurisdiction is conducting an all-mail ballot election where there's no polling places at all, statutes allows them to release the results 7 p.m. election day. But in no situation, whether mail ballot or a polling place scenario, are you able to release results any sooner than election day after the polls close or after 8 p.m.
Can anybody get those results?
No. Now, we are printing results for purposes of hand count audits going forward, but those are printed face down, so nobody sees the results whatsoever. We do print a results called a cards cast report that lets us know not how many votes John or Susie or Carlos is getting, or the yes/no votes, but it does tell us how many pieces of paper, how many ballots we've run through the machine, and we balance that all the way through. So we don't know how the election is going pertaining to a particular contest or race, but we do know and have to know how many ballots that we've counted at particular given points in time.
And is there any reason for Chuck Huckleberry to get those? Or
None
anything?
whatsoever. He's no different than any other citizen, so not until the law allows us to release those results. We usually post them on the webpage. They're usually out about 8:15, 8:20 on election evening. That is the first time anybody, regardless of who they are in our community, that is the first time anybody sees those results.
Okay, so what have you done? It's for my 18 newscasts that we have in a day. It seems like 18. What have you done to keep this from happening again?
Well, certainly we've had some remedial training for the individuals who work within this room. We've also talked to the political party officials to let them know about that remedial training. We've had people document what they need to do in the future and indeed what they had done incorrectly in the past, this most recent incident. So everybody is going to use this as a learning experience.
Good. One more. What you want the voters to know?
About this particular situation?
About security
Sure.
and that sort of thing.
Again, everything that we do here is transparent, and I would suggest it's transparent like no place else within the United States. We stream everything we do online. We archive that stream, so if anybody wants to see a video of what's happened in that room in the past, we have electronic key cards that only certain people are allowed into rooms at certain times, and as you pass your key past the magnetic field, it actually logs who's coming into the building or in particular rooms. And we also have that hand count audit. And so it's not just the county coming forward and saying, here's the results of the election. It's actually ladies and gentlemen coming forward and volunteering their time to do hand count audits in a post-election environment that lets everybody know that the machines worked properly, from individuals with their naked eyes looking at ballots and coming to that conclusion.
And are the parties involved in the audit?
Absolutely. The parties are absolutely involved in the audit. We've already solicited the political parties here, meaning the two major political parties, to bring forward individuals who will act as those hand count auditors. I will receive the list from the Republican Party, and I'm going to receive the list from the Democratic Party no later than tomorrow, and it should be good to go.
Okay, thanks, Brad.
You're welcome. Now off to your 19th, 20th, 30th.
It's nuts. So what we're gonna do is we're probably gonna be live. Does that door stay open all the time?
Well, we're processing, it will be unlocked. It may be closed.
Okay.
And there's a doorbell to the side of it, a little buzzer.
But what time do you close?
We will be, well, this situation in here will start powering down around 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Okay.
What they're doing in their meeting, getting the ballots prepped for eventual count, will probably start winding down about that same time of day.
Okay.
So activity is pretty much going to be
So
dead.
we'll probably be outside this door then, outside the front like we usually are, for our live shots.
Okay.
And then, so what are they doing in there?
May I give you that?
Oh, they're opening the envelopes.
That's
Okay.
predominantly what they're doing there. So, through that wooden door.